I'm going to go ahead and just... I want you to be able to see my face when I discuss this, because I don't want to have to discuss this again. We just had a bunch of people shot, right? They were executed. They weren't shot. They were executed. They weren't even murdered. They were executed. Okay? Where am I going with this? If one more person starts this narrative about gun control and common sense measures to prevent things like this in the future, dude, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. If you had brought this up, whether it be the last mass shooting or whatever, you're an idiot. I don't know how much clearer I can be than that. You're an idiot. I had somebody the other day tell me that because I own guns, they were paid for by the blood of the children at Sandy Hook. Now, you say that anybody who is against gun control is some evil, maniacal asshole. We don't say things like that. That's ridiculous. Number one, let me try to sum this up, okay? Because I don't think a lot of the pro-Second Amendment advocates do a really great job vocalizing what they want to say. So I'm going to try to make it as simple, clear, and concise as humanly possible so your mind can wrap around it. Okay? Because apparently nobody understands why we don't want to give up guns. If your neighbor goes and wrecks a car and kills somebody, kills 5 people, kills 10 people, runs over a kid, should somebody be able to come and knock at your door and take your car away? What about prevent you from buying another car? What if you have money and you decide, hey, you know what? I've got this car that I use for work that's reasonable and economical and good on gas, but on the weekends I want to drive a Corvette. So you go to the dealership and you want to buy a Corvette, right? You've got the money, you've got cash in hand, you want to buy that Corvette. But now that guy says, whoa, I have to do a background check on you to make sure that you can buy this Corvette. And you're like, okay, that's fine. You know, I have no problem with the background check. Now, what if that guy says, well, I have to put you in a national database of Corvette owners. So if someday there's an issue with Corvette owners, we're going to come and take your Corvette. Common sense? Not so much, right? So let's go with that same narrative of your neighbor goes and runs somebody over. And they come and knock at your door and say, hey, your neighbor ran over somebody in a Corvette. I hear you also have a Corvette. Is it in your garage? Mind if I take a look at it? Next thing you know, they try to take your Corvette. I know it's apples and oranges. I get it. But listen, the right to be safe from other people's craziness is not in the Constitution. It's nowhere in the Constitution. I want you to read it from cover to cover and find a place where it says you will always be protected from bad people. It's nowhere in the Constitution that you'll be protected specifically from bad people. No. The government has no need, responsibility to protect you from bad people. Cops are to handle the cleanup after the fact. If they can get there beforehand, wonderful. But anytime you need a cop, when you need a cop right this second, they're minutes away. So do you really want to leave your safety in the hands of somebody who cannot get there? They're busy. They've got other things to do. And would they love to be there and save your life? Absolutely. But they can't always be there right then and there the second you need them. They can't be. I was in law enforcement. I promise you, even when you're in the same building, it's not how it works. It's not how it works. You are responsible for your safety, and you are responsible for the safety of those around you and your family. Now, I don't know about you, but anything I can have that will help me perform that duty better, more effectively, safer for everyone else, I want it. Now, you remember, I know in Connecticut it was a big deal, but when everybody started getting all anti-gun in the early 2000s, right? Especially like around 2004 when the gun ban, with the assault ban lifted. And everybody started getting anti-gun again. I mean, this is not a new thing that's going on right now. This has been going on for decades. And when everybody started getting all crazy about it, everybody said, oh, well, let's all carry tasers. Tasers are great. Tasers are not great. Tasers are stupid. Here's the thing. If you are a cop and you're dealing with a riot situation, less than lethal options are great because a lot of people technically haven't broken a law. They're unruly. They may get a misdemeanor. But if somebody's coming to attack you and kill you or rape you or whatever they plan to do, nobody knows. A taser, seriously? Especially a handheld taser, it's going to hurt, but it won't stop everybody. It won't even stop a quarter of everybody. They're less effective than fists. But everybody said, oh, well, this is the replacement to guns. You won't need guns anymore because you'll have tasers. Tasers haven't solved the problem. All the hand-to-hand combat training you can get aren't going to solve the problem if somebody is dead set on killing you. Now, you take a look at this exact situation that you want to throw in everybody's face. President Obama. Oh, we got to do common sense gun control measures. I'm not even going to say anything anymore because this is ridiculous. Nobody will buy into it. Dude, nobody buys into it because, number one, where did these things happen? All these mass shootings, where do they happen? In gun-free zones. Why? Because they can shoot as many people as they want, and they know they've got minute upon minute upon minute before anybody shows up to stop them. They know they've got plenty of time to do what they got to do. Now, you got people going, oh, well, high-capacity magazines. If he didn't have high-capacity magazines, he could have only gotten off a couple shots. Dude, when you've got 10 to 15 minutes before anybody can even show up, you don't really have to reload fast. You don't really have to run through your magazines. You don't have to. This is the part that you don't get. You're trying to be logical. But logic only works if you know what the hell you're talking about. If you've got a gun-free zone where you know nobody can stand up to you, nobody poses a sufficient threat enough for you to worry about, and you can literally pick and choose who the hell you want to shoot, does it matter if you have a 30-round magazine or an 8-round magazine or a 2-round magazine? It doesn't matter. My favorite misnomer, right? Anybody who's trained knows that this is crap. Well, if they had to reload more, then somebody could charge them. That just happened. But the dude didn't charge him because, oh, he was reloading. I can totally get in there and stop him before he can get another bullet off. The dude got shot a whole bunch of times. Now, if everybody was as tough as that guy, we wouldn't have to worry about any of this. Seriously, we wouldn't have to worry about a thing. But the fact is, not everybody is as tough as that guy. And had that guy been armed, this wouldn't even be a discussion. That guy would have took him out in a heartbeat. The hero would have been a hero whether he was armed or unarmed. However, a lot fewer people would have died had he been armed. There's a reason that the Second Amendment advocates, as people say, or as I call them, Americans, because we exercise our rights. Crazy, I know. There's a reason we do. And there's a reason we train, and there's a reason we read, and there's a reason we talk to each other, and there's a reason that we are absolutely adamant that we will never give up our rights. And it's because the most dangerous thing we could possibly do is give in. Because who's going to protect my family? Who's going to protect my family? I don't have armed bodyguards to sit at my house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to make sure that my family's safe, to escort my son to school and home. And what if I'm incapacitated? Then what? My wife has to be able to pick up. My son has to be able to pick up. And I make sure that both of them know exactly what they're doing. So if that situation ever does show up, there's not going to be an accident. And this is the entire point. You people, oh my God, you people want to preach, oh, all this you have to have all this training, you have to be qualified, and everybody should have to have all this training. Well, guess what? The average concealed carrier and their family is better trained than you could possibly imagine. Because we think about scenarios you don't want to think about because they're uncomfortable. And I get that. I get that they're uncomfortable. I get that the idea of having to carry a firearm is uncomfortable to you because you've never had to think about it. I understand that. Okay, we're on the same page there. I didn't want to have to carry a firearm. I wish this country or any country was just safe all the time. There's no crime. That'd be awesome. But it'll never happen. No matter how many laws you make, somebody will break them. And here's where it gets really hard to deal with, okay? And I'm not trying to be patronizing right now, by the way. It gets hard to deal with when you realize that the more laws you make, the more criminals you make. Because if you make laws that violate the Constitution, people are going to follow the Constitution, not the law. So you go and ban AR-15s tomorrow, right? Like, it can't happen. But let's say somehow magically you banned AR-15s, right? 380,000 people in the United States are going to be criminals. That's it. We're going to have the choice between sacrificing a $1,000 plus rifle or becoming an outlaw. How is that fair? We bought something legally. We paid an exorbitant amount of money for it. We followed all the procedures. We got the background checks and everything else. And then you go, hey, guess what? We don't like your gun. So either turn it in or you're going to jail. And this is why a lot of states, like the state of Missouri, don't require anybody register a firearm. Now, I know. It's a crazy concept. So let me try to explain this to where you can get it in here, okay? One of the problems with what's happened in the last 150 years is that the government has become more and more controlling of anything and everything that poses a threat to them, whether it be speech, whether it be the Second Amendment, whether it be religion, whether it be morality, any of these things poses a direct threat to them because the people can do their own thing, right? Like First Amendment. You can say whatever you want. You can worship wherever you want. You can do it wherever you want. But then they start putting out protest cubes. Here, you can protest between this part and nowhere else. And if you protest anywhere else, you get arrested. Now, how does that fit in with the First Amendment exactly? What about church services? What about prayer? You can't pray in court. What about Congress? You see how this works? They whittle it down piece by piece by piece until it's useless. It's just words. Now, if they can do that to the First Amendment, imagine the fun they could have with the Second. They've already had a ton of fun with it. What we have that we are able to purchase today is all that's left from them whittling it down piece by piece by piece. And if you want a really good example of why this is such a bad thing, history, right? I love history. History is one of my favorite things in the world. One of the most prolific rifles in American history is the M1 Garand, right? Everybody knows the M1 Garand. Even if you're not a huge World War II buff, you know the M1 Garand. There were hundreds of thousands of brand new M1 Garands left overseas. Country calls up and says, hey, we want to return these to you. Now, we have a program called the Civilian Marksmanship Program. A lot of you have probably heard of it. And they take these rifles. Sometimes they recondition them. Most of the times they just clean them up and they put them in a box and they ship them to people who have already qualified, who have gotten background checks and everything else. And they have to be a part of this program, which means they've had additional background checks and to make sure that the heritage arm is going to be preserved. You know, you can go out and shoot it and everything, but you have to take care of it. You can't just be like, oh, hey, look, I got 75 of these. I'm going to, toss them. No, it's not how it works. These are pieces of history. They're very important. But instead of Obama going, yeah, by all means, bring them on in here. We should get these historical guns into the hands of people who are going to be responsible owners who will appreciate them. Instead of that, he says, don't send them over here. We don't want them. And then he tries to ban the sale of the M1 Garand because it's an assault weapon. Now, I've never seen an automatic M1 Garand. Never seen it. It's because it never existed. So, once again, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to protect people? Are you trying to save lives? If we keep guns out of the hands of the law-abiding citizen, is that going to save lives? Is making more laws going to mean fewer guns available for criminals? No. But, dude, the guy that committed the shooting used legally owned firearms to do it. Okay. Now, how many people that legally own firearms throughout the country did not go commit a mass shooting that day or any other day? See how this works? Car accident. I take your car. You're not allowed to drive. Your neighbor had an accident. Same thing. You're going to punish the innocent for the crimes of the guilty. This is what pisses me off about this entire ideology. You are so concerned with what everybody else is doing that you can't pay attention to the people you should be paying attention to. There's always going to be bad guys. Surprise. There's always going to be murderers. There's always going to be people that want to take advantage of somebody else, whether it be to kill them or to steal from them or to rape them or whatever. They're always going to exist. So you have two choices. You either man the hell up and deal with them, or you bow down and turn everybody into a damn victim. Now, I'm tired of everybody being turned into a victim. I'm tired of people who wouldn't necessarily carry a firearm being afraid to because they don't want to offend anybody. I don't care if I offend you. It's my job to protect my family, myself, and those around me. I've done it for the vast majority of my adult life, professionally, and the hell if I'm going to let somebody tell me, you don't deserve to carry a firearm because the blood of children are on your rights. If I wasn't allowed to carry and somebody attacked and I couldn't fight back because I'm disabled and they got my child, whose hands would his blood be on? It's my job to protect my family. It's your job to protect yours. If you choose to protect yours with a butter knife and a prayer, oh, wait. I didn't mean to say prayer. I don't want to offend anybody. How you want to protect your family is your business. If you don't like guns, don't have a gun. I'm not saying you have to. In fact, if you don't like guns enough to where you want to ban them, because of something that somebody told you one time that you thought was true, I don't want you to have a gun anyway. But I'll defend your right to have one because it's your damn right. If you choose not to exercise your rights, that's your business. But don't try to tell me or anybody else that they can't exercise theirs also. It's a right for a reason. Now I'm done. I hope you guys understand that, one, this is the wrong time to talk about this. Every single time people get killed, instantly it's, oh, let's ban guns. I'm sick of it. People aren't even in the ground yet and you're already trying to grab guns. Stop. Get over it. It's not going to happen. It's not. You can write an executive order. The states can nullify it. So you go to Congress. You have to get Congress to approve it unanimously. No. You would have to amend the Second Amendment. Or you'd have to completely get rid of it. And there's a whole process involved in that. It's never going to happen. You'll never get unanimous consent to get rid of firearms. It's not going to happen. So just get over it. Stop it. Just drop the whole topic because everybody's tired of hearing it. Go ahead and spend more money on all these groups. Do what you got to do. But don't try to tell me how to protect my family because you're not worth it. And to those of you that understand where the hell I'm coming from, good job. But I'm done. I'm done playing this. Try to be polite and try to understand everybody's point of view. I always try to understand everybody's point of view. I try to listen and I try to have a productive debate. I do. I always try to. And I try to be respectful. I try not to throw names and everything else around. But I'm sick and tired of people trying to use things in their personal agendas that they don't even understand. The first time you witness somebody getting shot, it changes the way you think. It all changes. All these things that you think now, you wouldn't think if you've seen it. It's much scarier than it is in movies. And it changes you. And I pray to God that you never have to go through that. I pray you don't have to go through the days and weeks of feeling numb and feel like you're supposed to feel something and you don't. And then one day you're washing the car or cooking dinner or watching TV and then boom, it all hits at once. And instantly you were absolutely terrified and shocked and everything else. It's a million different emotions at once. And it is the most vulnerable you will ever feel. And I pray to God you don't ever have to go through that. It's terrifying. So I'm going to finish by saying this. If you're against guns, if you're against the Second Amendment, if you're against all that stuff, that's fine. Talk to your other friends about it. People that are pro-Second Amendment, people that are pro-rights, don't want to hear it anymore. We're done. We don't want to hear it. We're done trying to understand you. We're done trying to coddle you. This is the real world. Bad things happen. We're prepared. Get over it. Or grow up and become one of us. You don't have to be a conservative to like guns. You don't. But that's all I got, guys. You're awesome.